If you only see one movie in 1996 with holy water squirt guns killing vampires, make it From Dusk Till Dawn. If you only see one disappointing sequel in August 1996, make it Escape from LA. I mean, if you want to. The Crow City of Angels works well for that vibe too. You know, you have a gun to your head. But if you only see one Tales from the Crypt TV show movie spinoff in August 1996, make it Demon Knight. What? It's been out on home video since January. I feel like I'm in a bad Tales from the Crypt episode. It's the Tales from the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood watch along.
Well, that was a long road. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. We have another watch along for you today. Tales of the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood.
Yes.
As you rightly have pointed out, Tom, because I think some people are going to think, why is the Everything Sequel podcast doing this?
They might also think the way because of how I'm dressed that we're doing Zardoz.
That's true. You look magnificent,
Thank
by
you
the
very
way.
much. I thought, I'd kill two because it's hot as balls in this closet.
Heard.
If anyone's tuning into this, they're probably expecting tits. We're not showing the movie, so you're not going to get tits. So, well, kill two tits with one stone, you know?
Should I?
Give the people what they want, Mike.
Then I'll put it back down.
Give the people what they deserve, not what they want. You tuned into this; it's your own fault.
Yeah, you know what to expect by now.
Carry on.
All right. Well, the reason I brought that up in the first place was, I think, I had to remind myself that there was what was that first one?
Demon Knight.
Demon Knight. Thank you.
A year earlier.
Right. And I think people forget that.
Oh, you think this movie has overshadowed that original? Or
yeah, I think so.
Okay, interesting.
Although
because it subsequently killed a proposed trilogy of Tales from the Crypt movies. We had to wait until 2002 with the direct-to-DVD Ritual.
Now, and the first one, was that a theatrical release or was that just on HBO?
No, it was a theatrical release. It did relatively well, critically and with audiences.
All right. Because I know that this one definitely could be nominated for movie you least wanted to see. It made under $10 million. Didn't even make $6 million.
Right.
Against a 13.
Yeah, that sounds about
budget?
Right.
Yeah.
It's also crucially, I think, the movie. It could have been nominated for the movie that you didn't think you were going to see, because it is not the movie that is promoted in the post-credit sequence of Demon Knight.
Okay.
Which was a movie, a follow-up called Dead Easy, a kind of New Orleans-based horror anthology episode. And they scrapped that. They changed the title of that to something else, but it was still the same concept. And then they abandoned it completely. And the origins of this are really interesting. Do you know any about that or
no?
So Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, I do know about that actually. Yes. Sorry.
So this was
a screenplay they wrote together.
Yes.
That was in Hollywood for years. Yes. So much so that like a John Travolta movie, he mentions it.
I didn't know that aspect of it.
There's a John Travolta. God, what movie is it that John Travolta?
Battlefield Earth?
No, it's like he's playing an actor and he says one of his credits is Bordello of Blood.
That is fascinating.
And he says it because this movie was, just
Yeah.
languishing in turnaround for 10 years, even
Since
though the people who first read it liked it a lot.
They wrote it when they were college graduates. They would designed it to be an exploitation film that would be their way into Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, that making this script after all these years was at least Zemeckis's condition to not go to DreamWorks. So he was about to jump ship to DreamWorks, and this is how Universal persuaded him to stay. Was by making this movie. And when I first heard that this was written when they were college graduates, I thought, well, that makes sense. And I'm thinking, actually, that's a little bit old to be writing this. I would have said high school students.
Yeah, exactly.
Like postgraduates? You shouldn't have seen any education at the point you're writing this script. Right?
Yeah.
So that's
Blowout, 1981.
Oh, like an actual good movie.
Blowout, John Travolta, yeah.
That's a De Palma, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he mentions one of his acting credits was Bordello of Blood.
Oh, well, I am taken aback.
It's not often I get to do that.
No, I mean that is extraordinary. It doesn't surprise. I mean, I didn't think the lineage to this movie could get more complicated than it already is, but apparently it is. That it's already been mentioned in a rather good Brian De Palma movie. Not even like a terrible Brian De Palma movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there are some of those.
Oh yes. Wow! Wow! That's extraordinary.
Well, now, as always, I assume you've done some research and I've done nothing.
Well, you did the numbers.
Yeah.
You're a resident Nate Silver.
There you go.
But numbers don't make sense to me.
But as always, I also had seen this movie in the theater. Yes. I'm wondering if you took that leap off the diving board with me.
Well, no, but here's the thing. So I want to talk a little bit about how I picked this movie and what it means to me autobiographically.
Okay.
Because I was doing research trying to find what our August movie would be, and I found several articles online that all pointed to the fact that August 1996 is widely regarded as one of the worst months for new releases in Hollywood history. And Bordello of Blood is the movie that always gets mentioned as the kind of worst of the worst, from that, as the epitome of why that's a terrible month. And I had a rare, I don't need to tell people who've been on here before, even for the last few minutes, I'm from Britain. I grew up there.
Oh, they know.
So in 1996, normally when movies came out in America, I wouldn't be able to experience the thrill of seeing a movie on its first day. It's still something that gives me a huge buzz to go and see
like
a movie.
A thrill. Yeah,
a Hollywood movie on the day it's released in America is still a big deal to me. But
me too.
Well, yeah. But for different reasons.
Yeah. It's my privilege.
But I was actually on, as a teenager on a road trip through California in the summer of 1996.
Wow.
So I got a rare front row view of.
You were there for all the shitty movies of August 1996.
Exactly, and when you're on a road trip, the radio's on in the car, the TV's on in the motel rooms. So I was hearing, I was seeing radio and TV critics laying into these movies, release after release. So I immediately, I had a Proust Madeleine moment. When I saw August 96 Bordello of Blood, I was like, I remember everyone savaging this movie. And you know, I was too young to see a movie like Bordello of Blood at the time, but I did go and see another movie that's wrapped up in this terrible reputation that this month of cinema has, which is The Fan with
Oh
Robert De
yeah,
Niro and Wesley
Wesley
Snipes.
Snipes. That's a movie in which Tony Scott wanted to put bookshelves in the dugout and have books on them, and all the baseball people said no, no, no. There are no
What?
books.
What's
Dugout.
going on here?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's how little Tony Scott understood about baseball.
He thought the stadiums doubled as libraries.
I guess.
Okay. Well, that's not the strangest thing that happens in that film.
No. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I remember
You
people
and I are
laying
going to
into
have
that
to do
movie,
that movie.
As a subpar Taxi Driver, which it is.
And it is.
Although,
right.
You know, I'd look more fondly on it now, I think, knowing that Robert De Niro wouldn't get better and that Wesley Snipes would be stolen from us for so many years.
Right.
And, you know, anything with Ellen Barkin is worth watching.
I'll agree with that.
But so this was the release date. You know, we always premiere these on the original release date. Very relevant here because this was a kind of month that's notorious in Hollywood movie history, and it seems like Bordello of Blood is still the movie that people use to talk about it.
Not without reason.
No, but we might want to talk about whether that's, you know, is it a case of the cart pulling the horse a little bit? You know,
right.
is it a bad movie because it released in August 1996? Or is August 1996 a bad month for movies because of movies like this? You know, there's a discussion to be had at the very least.
Well, we can play What I Remember.
Is that a new segment on our show?
Could be.
Yeah, let's do that. That is, I mean, it absolutely should be. What does Mike remember from? What do we got? How long ago?
25 years.
25 years. Okay. Is it? And then we've got to. We need like. I've been trying to work.
Are you going to juxtapose it against Highlander?
I've been trying to figure out what to put on this wall because this wall is invariably blank when we do these, and I think I'm going to have to put like a scale, and of what Mike remembers. Here's where Highlander 2 is. Right? Okay. Highlander 2 is the one to beat. When you can recite words from the cold open. The crawl at the beginning. I think that's the one to beat. So let's see what.
Well, I don't think there's a crawl. But no. I do remember the beginning including a forest with like a little person on a horse.
Oh God.
Is that right? Okay.
You know it's right. Those images don't come together unless you've experienced them. Right?
Yeah. I think young male self, I remember going into it thinking I'm going to see Angie Everhart's boobs and seeing all the boobs but hers.
Yep. That is okay. That is true.
I remember Corey Feldman had a bunch of shit in his face. I remember that the bordello had something to do with the funeral home. And you gave this away in your opening pitch because I was going to say I remember like super soakers or squirt guns being used with holy water.
Right. Well, we have to talk about the origins of that too.
Right.
Because there is. So while I was watching this movie, I kept writing notes of like funny. This happens in From Dusk Till Dawn too. I think that was a 1996 movie as well. I looked that up. It's like, okay, they came out in the same year. Probably just a coincidence. What month did it come out? January. Okay, so you could do a like E.T. and Airplane 2.
Yeah, right.
If you work fast enough, it's like, but I'll still give it the benefit of the doubt. You know, it might just be everyone was having the same ideas at the time. Then did some research and found out,
like producers or something.
even more so,
Really?
even worse than that. From Dusk Till Dawn was considered as the next Tales from the Crypt film. So,
oh my gosh,
the people who made this movie had read the screenplay.
Wow.
At that point, I was like, well, this is plagiarism.
Yeah.
If you've seen the actual screenplay, I cannot give you the benefit of the doubt anymore. Because, you know, the whole bordello of vampires, squirt guns with holy water, even Corey Feldman's makeup, what you quite accurately referred to as a lot of shit on his face, is drawn from Dusk Till Dawn, and they had prior access to the screenplay.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know what the?
All right.
Okay, here's another. I mean, here's another.
Well,
can I? This is another trivia question for you.
Okay.
What other 1996 horror movie was considered as a Tales from the Crypt movie that went on? It's an original movie. It was released in 1996. Do you know?
No.
Or can you guess?
Not offhand.
The Frighteners.
No way. Really?
Yeah. So these movies were passed over for this.
Wow.
So you've got to think.
That really surprises me because Frighteners was like Peter Jack. I mean, wasn't it like his baby? I mean, was he hooked up with HBO or something? Or
it was, you know, the script was, I think, because, you know, Tales from the Crypt weren't basing the movies on EC Comics anymore. In the same way the TV series based it on the Tales of the Crypt EC Comics.
Right.
They were looking for original material, and these two screenplays were in contention. I think in the end, what must have tipped it is we don't want to lose Robert Zemeckis to DreamWorks, and if this is what we have to do to make him stay, we will.
Wow, that's interesting.
Which is, I mean, would you pick this story over the story of From Dusk Till Dawn or The Frighteners?
No.
Of
course not.
But you're 100%,
right, hang on,
100% right on all of your guesses.
I got two more.
Oh, okay.
Okay. One, I just remember that Chris Sarandon was in it.
yes, okay.
Which was, and that there's a lot of people in it. Like, what's her name from Baywatch is in it, and Angie Everhart and Dennis Miller and Corey Feldman and like Whoopi Goldberg. I remember.
Jesus, you remembering Whoopi Goldberg is astounding. I forgot she was in it between viewings.
Really? Well, the only other thing I remember is the great William Sadler cutting off the hand of the Crypt Keeper.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like the mummy.
He's a mummy,
right? Yeah. All right.
This is his moment for fantasy horror based comedy.
Well, and I just like
having just done the Bill and Ted.
Because it felt like he was doing a similar thing as Death.
Same voice
and everything. Yeah, exactly. And I just remember thinking Chris Sarandon was interesting because I love him so much in Fright Night.
He's very good in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much of a spoiler to say that that his scenes are among the best.
It's like a priest or a preacher or something. All right.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you Columbo these things where you pretend like you only partially recall them?
Excuse me.
Yeah, because you do
one more memory, please.
No, I think he was a priest. I think he was a priest or a preacher. But in your head, you're going, he was totally a priest or a preacher. Because
no, I like.
Okay.
I you know, there are a couple like, especially the preacher. I was unsure of.
Okay.
I was hoping I didn't have Whoopi Goldberg wrong, but I was pretty sure about that. And I was really, I was like doubting myself about the boobs, because I remember there's just boobs all over the place, and then the one pair of boobs that everybody probably wanted to see. I remember thinking at the end of the movie, we never saw those boobs.
When was but we'd seen them in
other
not to
things.
sound too much like
Jade or some shit.
Not to sound too much like a much maligned
Creeper.
Creeper, but a much maligned Seth MacFarlane song from the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
We saw her boobs in Under Siege.
Well, that's the other woman.
That's not her?
Angie Everhart's the redhead.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of another woman whose first name and her second name are basically the same, but
Erica
I can pronounce neither.
Eccles, you know, yeah. She's Under Siege.
I remember getting renting the Under Siege VHS, and when it got to that scene, the tracking would be off because it had been watched and rewound
so many times.
It would just be like, boop, 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 and then as soon as she was out of the cake, fine again.
Fucking shit.
I was like, that tracking represents semen.
I was gonna say the male psyche, but you went to the literal.
I went to the literal. I mean, the other, as those of you who, if you're coming in for the first time to a watch along, you might not know that we also try to
undress.
Highlight, not always. We always try to highlight sequels that are difficult to categorize.
Yeah,
that we would have trouble doing on the podcast, or would be too difficult to classify. And this is probably the most complicated sequel we've ever tried to do, because it's let me just break this down for you. It's
Go ahead.
A sequel to a movie spin-off of a television adaptation of a comic book.
Wow.
And I've already talked about how it's not even the sequel that was planned. And it's also an anthological sequel.
I gotta tell you, I don't think I've seen Demon Knight.
It's very good.
Is it?
It's well, you might want to get. It's good. Yeah, it'll do.
All right. It'll do. You took a journey there. You went from it's very good to it'll do.
This is my barometer. Okay, so this is so it's, and I've been reading and watching a lot about horror movies at the moment, and I was interested to find out, that horror anthology sequels are some of the hardest sequels to make. Like,
For sure.
The Creep Show franchise really struggled to continue that on. So this kind of a movie
I like
already
the story with the ooze in the water in Tales of the Crypt too. I thought that one was good.
Tales of the Crypt or Creep Show?
I mean, Creep Show.
Yeah. No, that's the interesting part of it, is that what tends to make them successful is when there's one outstanding segment in the movie. But this is an anthological sequel, but it's not a portmanteau. There's this one story.
Mm-hmm.
So they fucked themselves twice in choosing to make an anthological sequel, which is already destined to fail, right, and not even a portmanteau. So you can't, spread your bets across different segments. It's like either people like this or they don't.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly the reaction you get to any anthological sequences. Like, oh, I love that one story about.
Yeah.
And so for that to work, you have to go, oh, I love that story about the bordello with the vampires. and I don't think those words have ever been uttered in history.
Yeah. Well, so and I think one of this movie's big. Actually, this is another memory that I have. The one last memory of this movie that I have is that Dennis Miller throughout the movie looks as though he could care less to be there.
It's even more than that. That's a great memory, and it leads into something. The other thing I wanted to say about this,
Well, wait, before you go there, let's also remind people we're watching this on Starz.
Yes.
So go ahead and set your Starz account. Go ahead, sign up for it for free for 7 days, and get ready. In a minute, we'll be hitting play for you, but we want to give you time to set up.
Watch Bordello of Blood with us, and then binge Millions. First couple of seasons of Outlander, maybe. Don't bother with the America stuff though. I'm just reviewing Star shows now.
Now you just have,
But okay, so Dennis Miller sabotaged this production.
That's what I understand
from
too.
start to finish.
Yeah, right.
This is something that's very evident when you watch the movie. Again, it's something that I noticed while watching it, and then when I realized that what appeared to be happening on camera was exactly what was happening behind the scenes. In fact, I think this movie doesn't just reflect its production problems. I think this movie is a production problem writ large into a feature-length movie. Because so Dennis Miller refused to stick to the script.
Right. But also refused to stay shooting coverage, right?
Correct. He wouldn't. There was times he wouldn't turn up on set. When he got there, he wouldn't do the lines as written. There's a great phrase. If you go on Wikipedia, it says the movie suffered problems due to Dennis Miller's constant improvisation. And I love that term. I don't, whoever did that, because it's open source, you don't know who wrote that, but that's a perfect description of because that also suggests he gets out of his car and he's already insulting the the valet guy, and then he's he's just he just can't turn it off. But as I was watching it, I was like, I'm not getting the sense that they have any control over what Dennis Miller's saying here, because a lot of it is derogatory towards the movie itself. It's I don't think if you're writing the script, you're going to talk about what a piece of shit this movie is, which he says in a variety of different ways throughout the movie. But he also went on TV prior to the release of the movie and said, don't go and see it.
Oh, fucking Jesus Christ.
So from nose to tail, from tits to donuts, he sabotaged this movie. And
he was a bit of a dick, babe.
Is that I don't know anything about Dennis Miller. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I know but that's the thing. I still don't really know who Dennis Miller is. I watched some.
He's a failed football commentator, of course.
I watched Jiminy Glick interview him, and Martin Short was basically editing all his jokes down to a good joke. It was a beautiful thing to watch.
Really?
Because Dennis
I don't
Miller
remember that one.
Because Dennis Miller goes into there. It's when it's on the Jiminy Glick show, when he'd have a fake show. And Dennis Miller comes in, and he you can see in his head, he's like, I'm going to take this little piece of shit down. I'm going to be the funny one here.
Yeah.
And you can see Martin Short just waiting through all the blah, 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 insult. And he says, so what you're saying is nobody sucks like Dennis Miller in Hollywood. And Dennis Miller goes over and shakes his hand and realizes he's been beaten by a real genius.
A real comedian, yeah.
A real comedian. Genius. A real genius.
That's unfair. I mean, he's a real comedian, but
right, a lot of people do like him, and I guess he must have been popular.
He was great
enough.
when he was on Saturday Night Live.
He was one of the news guys, right?
Yeah, he did the news, and I like a lot of his early stand-up.
Okay. Well, you'll hear a lot of it here.
I'm sure I will.
You'll hear a lot of it in this movie. So it'll be another nice trip down memory lane for you.
Oh, lovely. Well, I mean, are we ready to go?
I think so. There's nothing really. Just to say, I know we normally talk about quality afterwards.
Yes.
But I want just so we don't spend the last 20 minutes, of this episode shitting on the movie. try to reframe this movie. If this was a 1970s exploitation movie,
Okay.
would it work? Would it be a good movie? Like, I'm throwing that hypothetical out there because
You'd like to give it a frame?
Because I'm going to watch it like that this time. Because I have a feeling that were it made in a different time, as a different, as an original movie that everyone knew was a shitty movie, didn't have any expectations around it, and was just a means to an end for, Galen Zemeckis to get into Hollywood, I think we'd see it a little bit differently, but we'll see.
Well, we'll find out. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Everything Sequel podcast presents the Tales from the Crypt presents. Bordello of Blood Watch Along
presents.
Let's start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Look at that lovely Universal logo.
Yeah, 96.
Great. It was a great year for the Universal logo.
Yeah.
Just not for Hollywood movies. Jack also came out this month.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Also waiting for Guffman, so it swings and roundabouts.
All right.
Here's your forest, Mike.
Hey, forest. Tierra del Fuego. They make it sound like it's in Mexico. That's clearly somewhere in California.
Also, the font doesn't make it clear that it's a place name. Also that it's like the lead actor.
Yeah.
A Tierra del Fuego movie. There's your little person on a horse.
There you go.
You are 2 for 2.
I remember images. We're behind schedule.
That was just someone off screen saying that.
Exactly. That was an
just
AD.
Zemeckis. We're behind schedule. Dennis, please. We're starting off in dedicated horror territory here, I think.
All right, yeah.
Or just Raiders of the Lost Ark. Take your pick.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say more. Dangerous. He's no Alfred Molina, tell you that much. Look at the work. All the flies around these horses and actors.
What I like about this cold open, which, spoiler alert, is one of the best parts of the movie, is it's played pretty straight. Like there's kind of an artificial flavor butter of comedy. But look, first skeleton 119. Look at that.
Oh no, there was a skeleton before that.
Okay.
Right about here. It's a treasure map. Right about here.
You know what they say? Right about here marks the spot.
Fucking here.
Right about here never marks the spot. Yeah, it's very Indiana Jones digging in the sunset.
Totally.
There's Christ. We'll see him
not
again.
In Mexico.
We'll see Christ again in this movie. Guest starring Christ. I'm a little uncomfortable with the little person dangling on a rope joke, but that's actually as bad as it gets.
How about don't cut the straps? How about don't open this thing? Everything about this thing says stay away.
It's like, so far, good horror adventure.
What the fuck?
She's a psychotherapist from Boston. Her name is Lilith.
The most horrible woman the world has ever known, and she's all mine.
She's not that bad. I can see why Frasier divorced her, but
Now, as I understand it, I believe Angie Everhart was dating our friend Sylvester Stallone at the time, and he suggested to producers to put her in this movie, despite the fact she had no real acting experience at the time.
Interesting. She kind of looks like Stallone in a wig.
What are those, shriveled hearts?
Yep. Well, it's the four pieces of the. See, this is not. I like. It's a nice meshing of practical and animation in the effects there.
That's
and
not
that
bad.
is by no means a given in 1996. That
No,
those two
yeah.
things would work. Look how rubber the hands look, though. That person has like either a severe glandular problem or those are a pair of rubber hands. It's a good heart. They worked very hard on this opening sequence.
Right? Temple of Doom, eat your heart out.
Which I believe was the tagline to Temple of Doom. You'll eat your heart out.
I know how to turn a woman on. All of this is just a reason to be climbing back up that rope.
Have we already seen the... No, we haven't.
Well, take the spider out of her mouth, for crying out loud.
She's a to-go order. Oh, here she comes.
Oh.
Blood.
Blood. See? No. Yeah, I'm climbing back up the rope.
For taste or safety reasons, or both?
Safety.
This is great. Look, I mean,
look at the reanimation of the boobs.
Well, just to have the confidence to do that in 96 when computer animation is so basic.
Oh,
I mean, they're coming out of the gate with a great prosthetic puppet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I like that, you know. Oh, that's the artifact that she's got there. That is from Demon Knight.
It is?
So that's one of the continuing threads, is that artifact. All right.
The glowing blood.
Because he even just says, you don't get to the movies that often, do you? I think that's a reference to Demon Knight. Like, if you saw Demon Knight, you'd know what that is. It's a good line. Is that a Laverne and Shirley reference? Oh, Lover. I thought he said Laverne. I love the Showbiz Mummy.
Fucking Sadler.
Sadler's great.
God, I love him.
And I want to, we'll talk about this later, but I want to give props to the puppeteers who work the Crypt Keeper. It still looks incredible. There's about 12 puppeteers working that one puppet.
I mean, the Crypt Keeper in the 90s was like a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody loved the Crypt Keeper. I don't know if it was like Max Headroom level, but
the puppet is a thing of beauty.
It is, yeah.
And the animatronics in the face, I think, still unbeaten.
Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, there we go.
This reminds me of those kind of framing stories you'd get in portmanteau movies. It's almost a shame that this isn't a portmanteau movie.
Oh, I forgot that. I forgot that they were playing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Are you allergic to dismemberment?
I guess. Look at his eyes.
I know, it's
That
beautiful.
puppet's fucking awesome.
Do you think that they should have kept the direct address to camera part?
Wait, say it again.
Do you think that they should have kept the direct address to camera?
No, yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay.
That's what we know of the Crypt Keeper.
I know, but it does make it seem like it's a TV episode, and it's twice as long as a TV episode. Erica Eleniak. Angie Everhart.
Yes. Different people.
And we're straight in with the kind of televangelist satire. Here he is. Here's Corey Feldman.
Yeah, see, bunch of shit in his face. Well, I didn't need that.
Yeah, it's a lot of carbon dating of the mid-90s here. The music, the tattoos,
right?
Televangelism, everything that's on Corey Feldman's wall. No effects. No effects is a little bit edgy. And we talked about this with the Naked Gun movies, but I feel like this is a kind of movie that's content with being labeled by the period it was made in.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not trying to be timeless.
No. That's why she's in it.
And I guess they're sort of there's a crypt keeper tattoo.
Oh, there you go.
And Corey Feldman, I guess they're playing on his, his horror roles.
Right.
Because he's post Friday the 13th, post Lost Boys by this point. And he's bringing all of that to the role.
But as I recall, he always took himself very seriously. Like he took his work on this, like he was, I think, really upset with Dennis Miller for not being more of a professional kind of a thing. He's just trying to do his absolute best.
I might agree with him there.
Huh?
I might agree with him there.
All right.
Probably somewhere in the middle is where you want to be with a movie like this.
Right.
You want to be solidly professional, but having fun too. Oh, ooh. Michael Kamen, musical producer.
Wow.
And look, there's a sassy waitress in a bar. This is pure License to Kill.
How far into this movie
I'm expecting,
are we?
We've already had a dart in someone's nuts. I'm expecting a swordfish to go through Benicio del Toro any minute.
I mean, we're still in the opening credits, and you got to James Bond from Bordello of Blood.
He said to that waitress, "Why don't you come and look at my nuts? They're very nice." Do you know what? Something you... Oh, that's...
Walter Hill.
Look at all the executive producers.
Silver, Robert Zemeckis. God.
That's like the who's who of the last 20 years of Hollywood movies.
Wow.
All executive produced this thing. I think it's interesting, like, what you say about Corey Feldman taking it too seriously, because I got the sense that like dialogue and action is comedic, but the way that the actors are playing it is not.
Right.
From the creative team behind Back to the Future.
Funeral home.
I swear I've seen this house in other Universal TV series.
Yeah.
I want to say that there's a night gallery that uses this house. It's definitely on the Universal backlot. I would put money on it. It's what they use when the Psycho house is busy. Aubrey Morris.
Okay.
Do you know that guy?
I'm trying to place the face.
Clockwork Orange.
Ah,
he's the guy who grabs, actually, another nuts reference. He grabs Malcolm McDowell's nuts.
Nuts, yeah.
In his bedroom. And he's been in a bunch of horror movies. Horror movies and cult movies. Life Force, The Wicker Man.
Hey.
So he's got real horror chops.
Who is he in The Wicker Man?
He's one of the locals.
Okay.
I mean, I'm talking about, you know, not the one you covered on the How Dare You podcast.
No, yeah. Yes.
The musical that was based on. Neil LaBute flipped it around.
Yes.
Yes. That's what he does in Clockwork Orange too, doesn't it? Yes. At least at this point, it's genuinely weird and creepy. Like, they usher him in. It's like, get in the coffin.
Yeah, but he looks pretty frail. I think I'd reach out, take that gun, punch him in the face, and run away.
But so are they. They're a couple of... They're just a couple of horny kids.
Right. Does everybody enter this way?
Yep.
All right.
Except for that part which you know is coming where it's just a regular... It turns into a regular crematorium when Dennis Miller brings the police there. That's some Bill and Ted screaming right there. Boobs!
Hey, boobs.
Yeah. There's a lot of transition boob in this movie. And boobs and ass transition. Hey, that's me.
They're as confused as me. Yeah.
That guy being dragged around looked like me.
That's you.
We've landed in a modern day teen sex comedy.
Skin Express to Tuna Town.
I find something fascinating about the clearly objectified women in here, but
Right.
their acting is so passé it almost undermines the titillation. Like you can read into it. It's like they don't really believe in what they're saying,
right?
In a way that's like kind of almost justifies how badly they're being objectified.
Is this some kind of bust? Hey, this shirt cost me $8.
Well, did you hear that button landing? That was a nice bit of sound, a nice bit of Foley work there.
Talk to the Sounds and Cinema podcast about that.
You could probably like find that button again. It's so clear where it landed. Here she is, Angie Anderhart. Oh, I can see why
she
Stallone. I can see why
she use
Stallone
her tongue to kill people, right? It's not just the first guy.
This is it.
Oh, man.
That's actually a very good piece of horror comedy, I think.
Yeah.
Or like sex comedy.
That's some tongue.
And then it snaps back like a Looney Tunes cartoon. I feel like 3 nipples was something that happened in a lot of movies. 3 nippled boobs. Doesn't that happen in Mallrats too?
You think that's a 96 thing?
Is Mallrats 96 or 95? Probably 95.
That's a good question. Ooh. 90. I gotta look it up. I just said 94.
I like how, you know, he gets all, he's like gets
95.
Kind of 95. He gets very virginal in these scenes, and it reminds me of like Corey Feldman as a child actor and also as a horror victim.
Yeah.
Like it's a nice use of him. There he is. Dennis Miller introduction.
Wait, what was that? I can't take a missing persons report because I got too many missing persons.
Yeah. Excuse me, that wasn't the line that you were supposed to say.
Getting killed is easy. Staying alive is work.
There's some Airplane Naked Gun-esque signage going on in these scenes. His name is Gutman from the Maltese Falcon. He's a PI.
Free parking in rear.
There you
that
go.
Seems like code.
He works out of a movie theater. I think the movie does well to sort of like create
Plunk it down. That wasn't in the script.
To create like a distinct character for Dennis Miller to play. Like the character is clear. Needs to speak up though. That's the big problem here. And say the lines at a consistent pace.
Real professional.
So I read somewhere that this actress talked her part down from a porno actress to a fundamentalist Christian because she didn't want to do nudity again and didn't want to be an amoral character. Good for her. See, it's like it's straight in making fun of the movie
Yeah.
for like not casting properly. He's a loose cannon. It's like, who needs Roger Ebert when you've got Dennis Miller in your movie?
It's going to be his mom, right?
I think this is just what was it? Yeah,
it was his wife, ex-wife.
So Chubby O'Toole was supposed to be, that was supposed to be her character originally.
Okay.
So they put that in as a nod to an earlier draft of the screenplay.
Okay.
It's that kind of movie. That is a good line. I'd like to say that to a hipster sometime. Some of the production design's actually really good because that's like such a shitty card.
I know, right? It's all bent.
Watch how the women in the corner look at Dennis Miller as if he's God's gift to women. Must have been in his contract that all women have to look on him that way. Ooh, his mullet is just so curly.
What do you mean? God damn it. He shot it straight into the corner.
It's not the last time we'll talk about home shopping in this movie. Must have been a big thing in '96.
Consider me fucked.
I genuinely thought those women in the corner were going to come into this somehow, but they're literally just staring at Dennis Miller like he's Tom Cruise.
That's an acting choice, all right.
There's a lot of acting choices going on there.
Wow.
Yeah. That guy really made the most of his 10 seconds on screen. I wish we could meet a real man like Dennis Miller.
Right?
There it is. There's, oh, definitely a night gallery there.
That's what in the business Dennis Miller calls a clue.
I feel like they're burying the lead, cutting away from Aubrey Morris's fine work here.
Right.
To look at Dennis Miller eyeing up a vampire.
Dennis Miller mugging.
I actually didn't mean the pun of burying the lead, but it works.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a nice
That's a
idea.
tie.
Like,
That's quite a tie.
yeah, nice idea. Kind of updating the sort of Van Helsing role as
The
a
what?
televangelist. It's really well
Somebody's
executed.
gonna get fired.
It's
I'm
great.
gonna go out on a limb and say he might not be playing that guitar for real.
Well, especially as the guitar keeps going after he stops. I think Chris Sarinen's working that into his routine. Was this like the beginning of mega churches, or
The what?
was this like the beginning of the mega churches? I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I
Joel
don't know.
Osteen,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Thank you, darling. JC. Uh-oh.
They're working with the vampires because it's the 90s and there's no clear sense of heroes and villains anymore. JC also.
JC.
Mr. Gutman, please don't say stuff from your 1978 stand-up routine to me.
So every time we cut away, that's not him.
I thought you were gonna say like every time we cut away, there's another like 2 minutes of monologue. I think both are true. I wonder if we can catch a stand-in. That could be a new segment.
No, I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know. But I wonder if we can actually physically, like
the haircut was just a little different.
the beard was grayer too, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because gotta say, Dennis Miller is clearly a Just for Men guy.
Again, choices as actors, just choices.
I think that now his choices are justified because he's a crazy half vampire. But the other guy isn't anything. He's just a guy. And they're acting the same.
I like the joke that he's drinking Bloody Marys.
And raw burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the suntan lotion as well. That's nice.
Right.
I think we talked about this before, but it's also an interesting test case for the sort of the John Landis theory of you've got to keep when you do comedy horror, you have to keep comedy and horror separate, and the comedy has to be funny and the horror has to be scary.
Yeah, see American Werewolf in London.
Right, but this is a horror comedy, and yet does it do that at any point?
Well, it's never very funny and never very scary. So no. Oh no.
You couldn't have picked a better moment to say that, could you? Really?
Wow.
Aubrey Morris pressing on a nipple, a dead woman's nipple, and going choo choo.
Because we're delving deeper into the horror aspect than the comedy aspect there. Oh God. That was a good little couple of shines off the lights.
So J.J. Abrams lens flare there.
Yeah.
And there's a fart dissection.
Oof. Oof.
I felt that last.
Yeah.
Foley. Fart
that
Foley.
One hit me in the solar plex.
Fartly. I'm going to call it a fartly effect. I like his comic rationale for going like, where do I put it? Bam, in the body. God, doesn't the pace and the interest just die every time Dennis Miller opens his mouth?
I know, right?
Sucks all the air out of this movie. That's how Aubrey Morris tells you to go fuck yourself.
Right? Tissues.
What happened to mullets in the 90s where they became exclusively curly? At least in movies. They were straight for so long. One of those
live forever
prostitute
benefits.
Interviews, those formal office base. So tell where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Tell me about a time you had a challenge and how you overcame it. Uh-oh.
Guess she got the job. I smell bad 80s stand-up.
I smell mullet and beard.
Just for men.
With cynicism.
Oh, it's just her armpit. Oh. They use comedy to like undermine the horror.
Yeah. Oh, this just has no effect on him.
This is the kind of scene Dennis Miller wants, just talking to himself in a room.
Oh, he's found himself a clue.
The Lord Shopping Network. Home shopping must have been a big thing in 96.
Oh, yeah. Simple. Clean.
You mine the comedy out of this movie, Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, go.
You just mispronounce his name as much as you want.
I shouldn't mention the bodies I saw and all the pulled teeth. Your brother's probably dead.
I don't like giving other actors notes, but Dennis, I think you should be looking in the eyes of the person you're talking to.
Captain Moped.
Is Captain Moped a thing?
No.
It's just a combination of words.
Yeah. He put the torn up card inside of his hand.
I'm realizing now I don't understand who that guy is.
At all.
He's somewhere that they've kind of made him a half vampire so he can bring people there. I don't know.
For a guy who knows that they're killing people there, he gets into a coffin awful quick.
That's what I mean. You get Dennis Miller's whole attitude to this movie is to kill me. There you go. We got a nice butt transition there.
Hey.
I know that this bordello is supposed to represent heteronormativity, but it seems gay as all. The muscles, the mustaches. Ugh. Did you say this bud's for you?
Yep.
It's a butt cut. Another butt cut. See, yeah.
No, they're just, even the vampire ladies are attracted to Dennis Miller.
You find out why later, but the implication is definitely that he is somehow special and unique as a man, which is just not what he's giving us in his performance. Oh. That was a good piece of prosthetics, and now I've ruined it by saying something stupid. This is pure Abbott and Costello, this scene. This could have been like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. It's just doing his routine in a slightly horror-looking place.
He's got his good plaid on tonight.
I really like that look.
Clearly.
I would happily still dress. No, not her look. His look. In real life. Even though I'm wearing her clothes now. It's the Star of David. Didn't something like that happen in the Fearless Vampire Killers?
God.
Just stand there while I do my stand-up. Just stand
All right.
there. Look like you're enjoying yourself.
Oh, look at that. He's outsmarted her. Oh, no.
There's an example of unintentional naked gun.
Yeah.
Oh, he left his wallet here.
What?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd get back up the incinerator. You get back in the coffin and 3rd floor, please. Hold the flames. Pretty much halfway through this movie, I cannot imagine even seeing it for a second time what could be left in this movie. He's discovered that they're vampires. Like, what's left?
He put one hand into a brace and then put the other one.
It's almost as if he's just too great a man.
Just flummoxes them.
I think if I was making like a movie version of a TV show, I would be paranoidically.
Yes, Ivan the Terrible blood.
Yeah, I know, rare blood type, right?
All right.
I would be almost
Oh, now he gets his gun.
paranoidically obsessed with the movie not nosediving at exactly 45 minutes in. And that's exactly what this movie does. If I got one thing right, it would be that this doesn't feel like it should only be 45 minutes long. It's another James Bond reference. No sense in going off half-cocked. Live and let die. Good line.
Good line.
Is that a slight on how old Dennis Miller is? Hey, remember when you were young? It was
He's
just
starting to
cheerleaders
sweat.
and Marilyn. See, sometimes she has a wig, sometimes she doesn't. Do you think she went off to make another movie and cut her hair? And
I don't know.
oh, I like that animated throw effect. Slow motion cut. That was a 90s thing too. 90s TV and movies when it just people got slow and then it cut to another scene. What is that about?
Never trust a cop who or eats beans straight from the can.
It's not even bean. If you write on a close-up, you can see it's like a full meal in a can. It's not just beans. It's like, I can't remember. It says something that we're trying to.
Wow.
It says something that we're trying to read what's on the can. There's so much going on in this scene. I'm just trying to read what he's eating.
Right.
He calls him Mongo, doesn't he? It's like, I know Mel Brooks has just done Dracula Dead and Loving It, but you're still pitching too high if you think you're Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there was a lot of vampire movies in the early 90s. Bram Stoker's Dracula, Dracula Dead and Loving It, Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
So this movie is obviously like trying to capitalize on the popularity of vampires. Dracula Dead and Loving It is a better than you think movie. It reminds me of like Krusty the Clown whenever Dennis Miller says something. It's like, I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud.
Yeah. Oh. Well,
as written, not as performed. It's kind of funny to me that
that's a kind of a fun motivation for a character. A preacher who's trying to get rid of sinners.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. It's like, if this movie was made today, would be more cynical, like the church were just doing it to make money. Like, I like the fact that because it's the 90s and everything's a little more optimistic about the fact that people who run mega churches might not be scumbags that we know they all are.
Right.
That they're sort of implying that they're doing it for higher moral reasons.
Yeah, right.
And not just profit. It's like overall quite a positive representation of televangelism.
Yeah.
It's certainly not like as satirized as it could be, or it would be now.
It looks like him.
Laser light, oh the Lord. That was still a top of the line editing facility, the laser light. You think all this stuff is in here because Tales of the Crypt was a TV show?
Yeah.
Like lots of TV in jokes.
Right.
Teleprompters, laser lights. like live TV. It's oh, we're adding a film within a film to pad out
Right?
the last half hour. We may have run out of fuel. Oh, it sounds like a terrible idea. Used to pad out a movie that's too long. Oh, another heavy casket joke. That's three now.
So what's the deal? Is there multiple bodies in there? Is
Yeah,
that why it's so heavy?
yeah, I think that's it. What is wrong with this picture? Oh,
You.
let me count the ways.
Well, that was easy.
There is something in this movie about open doors, easy to open gates and doors that this movie couldn't exist without.
Uh-oh.
Aside from the fact that you can't trust little people, I like the fact that there's not like little people jokes all the time. It's just he's just he's just a character. In this movie, butts are cuts. If you saw a butt, you saw a cut. Comes the documentary crew. Well, that scene.
Wow.
That scene happened.
Yeah.
I had like a 2021 moment there of like, God, remember when people use cameras?
Yeah.
It's like, Demon's Float would have been a good title.
Chris Sarandon's great.
Uh-oh. No, that's our only link to the good movie. Now we're on our own. It's kind of interesting how of all the characters, Vincent's motivations and development is the clearest.
Yeah, right.
What's that about?
That's strange.
Like the leads of this movie have no idea what they're
No
thinking
idea.
or doing.
I walked in through the many doors that were all open.
The many open doors of this movie. I didn't check them before I left the photo development place, which kind of person doesn't check
now, how did they pull that
as soon
trick?
as they get them?
Can you not see vampires when you take pictures of them?
So presumably it's an extension of them not being able to see them in mirrors.
In mirrors?
I don't know. It might actually be part of the mythology. I feel like Bram Stoker's Dracula sort of opened all doors for us to make up new vampire mythology in the 90s.
Right.
It's like, but vampires can come out during the day. Can they? Yeah. Boner is the right word. I agree. See, that's a wig again.
Totally.
Why does she have a wig in some scenes and not in others? What went on with this movie?
What's going on?
This is what I mean. This movie is a living,
follow that
breathing
thread of
production
thinking
problem.
he just said. Vampires.
He just said Duchovny riff. I didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is an X-Files reference, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love it if she just went, "Shut up, Dennis. I mean, Rafe." He needs that Arnold Schwarzenegger acting coach.
What possible reason would there be for Feldman to still be alive? Other than the script says he must be. Ho, ho, ho!
I don't know what to make of that line. Irony or just an apology? If he improv that, that's
he's a dick. Which we might have already established. So I don't call out in dark and scary places.
It also means that the TV series exists within the universe in which its stories also exist.
Right.
Which sort of undermines the internal logic of the movie, but okay. You go and say that, Dennis. That's like the two-headed guy in the Phantom Menace.
That was a pretty decent jump scare.
Yeah. This movie has them.
None of those bullets went in his face. They were all in his chest. Catherine, hurry. I am.
Neither of you are hurrying. Neither
of
you are good enough actors to suggest hurry. Look how slow they're going. And I don't think that's the joke. I think literally neither of them could muster up the energy.
She's going the one way there isn't a vampire.
I believe that's what he said in that TV interview as well. This is a mistake.
Oh, he escaped, but she didn't.
Well, they don't really want him, do they? It's the cop that's always eating, because that's what cops do in 90s things.
It was better in Superman.
In literally any other version of that trope.
That was some great ADR work there.
This is a good mashup of horror, sex film, and comedy. Sexy nurse, torn dress, sunburn, exploding body.
Wow.
Whoopi
Yeah,
Goldberg.
there's the Whoopi.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg's. Is she playing herself? I was in The Lost Boys.
I was gonna say I was in Stand By Me.
Ugh. Why is he perving on his sister now?
Not nice.
Not nice?
Not nice.
Ugh. It's like, I get, they're vampires, so there's always the lesbian thing, but incest?
Right.
Why do we need that too? Oof.
Oh,
And do not care for those noises Corey Feldman's making.
no.
I don't want to think about what he was thinking about when he made those noises.
Uh-oh. That was exceptionally violent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You gotta. I spend the whole movie on a knife edge. It's like, please don't beat up the little guy.
Yeah.
They made him just bad enough that it's okay to kick him in the head.
Oh wow. I didn't remember them coming together.
Which happens in From Dusk Till Dawn as well. Harvey Keitel as the
Hope
preacher.
and Crosby
Kills the vampire with the anti-hero character.
We also have music from Wayne's World.
Ballroom Blitz, yeah. It's basically the scene is like the scene could be subtitled "Things We Saw in Other Movies That We Thought Was Cool." Before I knew that they'd seen the script to From Dusk Till Dawn, I thought maybe they filmed this, they did a reshoot so they could have it as a reference. But who knows? Some of the prosthetics work just jumps out at you.
From Dusk Till Dawn too.
It's like one of the few departments that's not completely lazy in this movie. Is effects. Head in a punch bowl. That's how you know it's over. This movie has like a kind of a absolutist moral tone at times.
Right?
Like it feels like it needs to justify what it's doing on screen. It's like, people are dying. They're going to take over the city. They're vampires. Send them to hell. It's like, we don't need that. It's just a vicarious piece of titillation. Uh-oh. Shouldn't say lines like that in a movie like this.
Yeah.
That happens in From Dusk Till Dawn as well, I believe. Someone like looks through a hole in their hand.
Oh, snap. That's straight out of The Fly.
Oh, the arm wrestling scene? Yeah.
I think my arm's broke.
The Reverend gets a hero's death. It's interesting given his role in the movie. All the excitement.
You dragged Jonas into this?
Huh?
You dragged Jonas into this?
All the excitement of a live TV show. Why the hell am I watching this in a movie theater?
Oh, Jonas.
It's just a cornucopia of one-liners at this point.
Right?
It's like one of those rap battles. It's just he's trying to outdo.
How about
each
she just bites him and tears his head off in roll credits?
You throw him into that Iron Maiden set.
Yeah.
The only thing that can save us now is broadcasting.
Come on, shoo.
Is it better or worse that this is like a fairly traditional good versus evil story? I think kind of good.
Yeah.
I think if you had too much moral ambiguity, it would be even harder to take. That's my one-liner.
Yeah.
What is yours?
I'm the one-liner queen. Oh, he is taking a
and I
pretty
say
big
my
risk.
one-liners like this. Stallone told me to do it this way. Overload. Overload on the stage laser. Okay. Probably shouldn't go that high. In the end, all it took was... Oh, no, because the crucifix divides it in 4.
Crucifix.
So that's what they meant by dividing it into 4 pieces. I have a new piece of mythology for you.
Tear it out, baby.
You have to put them in 4 different continents.
Yeah.
There is no Lilith, only Zool. Oh, yeah. Look at full Lilith.
Nice. Nice.
He's got a Nick Rogue's The Witches feel about her. Well, at least the movie had the good grace to save its best effects to the end. Fundamentalist Christianity always wins. There's one lesson to take away from this movie.
That was a good effect there.
Amazing. Plus, they're using a lot of animation and mixing it with practical, and that's a hard thing to do at this time.
Slow motion hero lady.
Even Lucasfilm hadn't figured that out yet. As I can testify, having been watching Young Indiana Jones Chronicles for the past week. They really don't have it down in 95.
No.
That's right. Now I gotta go be a rabbi in another movie.
Oh, God.
She's a slut now?
What's going on?
Remember, it's a Tales from the Crypt.
That's her real hair.
It is a real hair. Everything turned out okay if this weren't a Tales from the Crypt. Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Straight in with the hands.
Wow.
He didn't check the legs. She wasn't becoming a slut. She's just a vampire.
Dennis Miller got the ending we all wanted for him.
There's 25 people under that chair operating him.
Right?
It's like fucking pulleys. I do the eyes.
Chest people, shoulder people, chin people, neck people, upper mouth people, eye people.
How many people did it take to operate Dennis Miller? Well, at least one joke worked in the movie.
There you go.
Dun, 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 dun. Remember when Danny Elfman did the music to this film?
At an hour and 20 minutes, we're starting the credits.
Yep.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
It's a little worrying for the overall quality of the movie. No, we won't enjoy that. It's a little worrying for the overall quality of the movie when the Crypt Keeper bit of the movie is the most successful in terms of both horror and comedy.
Right.
And that's literally, it's less than a minute of the movie.
Having said all that, I'm not sure this movie is as bad as its reputation.
No. I absolutely agree with you.
Except for Dennis Miller.
Yeah, he does. He stinks up the.
He is a weight on this movie.
Yeah, he's the albatross.
He's the albatross for sure. Yeah.
And that's a slight on albatrosses. To be fair, they do some good work. That's a funny bird. I love that the name of the visual effects company is Available Lights Limited.
Yeah.
Like when your name of your company is like connotes cheapness. And the effects are a little bit uneven, but overall I think they're
good.
Really good. Interesting connection to a franchise that we're about to undertake.
Right.
Gaffer, one of the gaffers on this movie is also a gaffer on Halloween 4. And I know that because he is name checked in the movie. His name is Bucky. And at one point, a security guard is wearing a hard hat that says Richard Bucky Buckmaster. There he is.
There you go. Richard Bucky Buckmaster.
And at one point, someone that Michael kills in Halloween 4 is called, has a hard hat with Bucky written on it. And it's because...
Man, could the music for this movie be more 1990s? Tybor. Morgue technician, Tybor Farkas. What other job could he possibly have?
Do you think someone who likes no effects would listen to this kind of music? I think it's either or.
Agreed.
No effects were like ska punk, not heavy metal. Right?
Oh yeah.
Canadian casting, as if we needed to know that this movie was made in Canada. This movie screams Canada. Yeah, there's something that worries me about a dual craft service and first aid credit. Don't you think?
What's that?
Something that kind of worries me about a joint craft service and first aid credit.
Right.
What one company is taking care of all of that? And how?
I cannot disagree.
Also, that someone has the nickname Fluff in a movie where there's naked
Lots of
women.
prostitution.
Yeah. Well, that's your movie. What did you think 25 years later?
It's a little better than I remember it.
Yeah?
Especially,
It's better than I thought it would be.
yeah, absolutely. And if only they had not tried to rely on the huge movie star name of Dennis Miller.
Well, that's a great point.
I mean, they literally could have picked anybody else.
And his what I can only describe as anti-charisma.
Yeah. Had they done that, I bet you this movie makes its money back.
Huh, interesting. So in an alternative universe, who would you have cast in that role?
Yeah. How about John Ritter?
John Ritter?
Yeah.
It's great. You wouldn't even need to change the costume, would you?
No.
Really? Well, I'm all up for one more John Ritter movie.
Yeah.
Before his untimely death. Maybe it would have, he could have beaten the Reaper if he was in this movie. Because what hell could compare to being in this movie?
Right. I also remember, like, it's funny, because the story is set up to try and, find her brother. So you assume that it's like, usually these movies would take kill the head vampire. And he goes back to normal kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a possibility here, does it?
But that's just not where they went.
No. Interesting.
Yeah. So, because I didn't remember that he died,
right?
But that was kind of fun to see.
Yeah. It's interesting that the description here on Starz is incorrect. They're adapted from the old EC comic books. This was not ever an EC comic book. I think
another serving of Hollywood horror and tongue-in-cheek humor.
Tongue down throat humor.
Yeah. Tongue bursting out of chest humor.
Yeah, and so it's definitely not as bad as its reputation that precedes it.
No.
I think there's good technical quality in the movie.
Yes. That actually surprised me the most.
Yeah.
That there was at least a half a dozen shots that I said, well, that looks good.
Yeah, the cheapness is all in the kind of writing, not really the execution.
Yeah.
Some sequences, I think, on their own merits work quite well, whether they're like sex comedy or just kind of straight horror adventure. But I mean, I would say I think it's a bad movie, whichever way you cut it.
No, yeah.
I mean, within its own franchise, within its own genre, as an anthology movie, it ticks none of those boxes for me.
Yes.
Which is fine, but
I'm not advocating. I'm not saying,
I know.
Hey, this is a really good movie. Everybody check out Bordello of Blood. But I'm just surprised that it's not as bad as I remembered seeing it the first time I saw it. And like you said, its reputation.
It's not unwatchable.
Right.
As someone who's watched it twice in the last week, can attest to, I was able to watch it without
you got through
without
it twice.
stabbing myself in the eyes. It was it was close for a few moments, but just close your eyes every time Dennis Miller's on screen.
Pretty much.
You can tell when he's you can sense when he's not on screen anymore. There's just like a wave of energy hits you.
Like that big wave in the director's cut of The Abyss
Yes.
That's you know, that's hitting you in, but in a good way, when
Yeah.
Dennis Miller leaves the screen.
It does. The other kind of adjective that hits me when I watch this is unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like this is not the movie that anyone wanted to make, but for some reason it was the only movie they could make.
Right.
Noticeably no post-credit sequence announcing the next movie.
Yeah, right.
So they're not even taking a punt on this being a success. Right. It's but I guess the other big factor is, you know, and I asked you at the beginning to think, you know, purely in exploitation terms. Again, I don't think it even really works as an exploitation movie.
No, yeah, it doesn't really rise to that level, does it?
No. But I give the movie credit for its, because as I get older, something that annoys me when I, you know, having less time to watch movies.
Chafing from your straps.
Exactly. You know what really chafes my straps? It's a new segment on the show. What Michael remembers.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what shapes my traps? Catch a stand-in.
By the way, listeners, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, what you really missed was the unrecorded reaction when I got onto Zoom with Tom today.
You laughed for conservatively 5 minutes.
It's that outfit with juxtaposed with those skulls in front of you.
Right. Turns out I have a lot of elements in my own home that constitute the set and costumes of Bordello of Blood. Who knew?
Yeah, right. Who knew?
But
you're just a nose ring away from going full Feldman.
I'm just a no effects poster away from Bordello of Blood. I suppose. Well, what I was going to say is the thing that irritates me as I have less and less time to watch movies is that movies that are pretending to be something other than they are annoy me far more than movies that are unsuccessful,
but on their own terms or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So I felt like I wanted to give the movie credit for its lack of pretense of being anything other than a piece of titillation, like, you know, starting and ending every scene with either a close-up of some tits or an ass.
Yeah.
Is like, to an extent, owning what it is.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that as time goes on, because
especially when there's a third nipple.
Well, I just think, you know, I sort of think like, and we've talked about this before in regard to like, you know, sneaky tits and
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're sneaky about nudity,
sneaky tits.
Yes, I think
that's a fucking band name, Sneaky Tits.
With Final Destination movies, or maybe the Texas Chainsaw 3D, or probably both.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said for going, there's going to be tits in this scene, here they are.
Yeah.
As opposed to like teasing people because we think we're a better movie than we are. Like, I don't know. But you're right. It doesn't even, like, it's, for me, exploitation movies, part of the joy of it is just like constant barrage of things you're not supposed to see.
Or hear.
And this movie's a little bit too mealy-mouthed for that, I think.
Yeah.
But it's not shying away from the kind of horny teenager vibe.
No, yeah.
And yeah, so it's interesting. It's like, what are people expecting when they sit down and watch this movie? It's interesting that when you look it up now, the Tales from the Crypt bit is kind of omitted a lot of the time. It's easier to just search Bordello of Blood.
Bordello of Blood, right.
Which is probably, you know, a realization that this wasn't a good vehicle.
So divorce it from Tales of the Crypt.
This wasn't the best vehicle for Tales from the Crypt to make a movie about. So they probably, but you know, it's like, it's interesting because why wouldn't you just find an old EC comic to like
pick a good one
and adapt? I guess because we've already given the answer because they wanted Zemeckis to stay at Universal and
right? Yeah,
comics.
I forgot about that.
So as again, like it's all about the production.
It's just about properties and people and keeping your talent.
But yeah, I suppose it got caught up in a bad time for Hollywood when critics were just laying into pretty much everything that was being released.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to look at some of the other titles. Movies released in August.
Because this has 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's low.
Does that
right?
feel right to you, or?
I'd maybe go a little higher, not much though.
Right.
Okay, so
I'm surprised you couldn't buy 25% of.
Nah, 25's too high.
You think?
It's like negotiating. 25 too high. Hey, I give you 17. So here's some of the other movies that came out in August 96.
Yeah.
Chain Reaction.
Oh, garbage.
Jack.
Oof.
I'm selecting a little bit, but not much. Escape from LA.
Yeah.
I don't know what this movie is, but it looks bad. It's called House Arrest. The poster is of a bulldog holding a Weekly World News. Do you know that movie?
I gotta know.
Okay.
I need
Let's
to jar
assume
my
that's a
memory
bad
here.
movie. It's giving me nothing but that
House
feel.
Arrest.
The Fan, which we talked about. Some movie with Kiefer Sutherland and Reese Witherspoon called Freeway. Which...
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, is that good?
No.
Okay. Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Of course, this is one of this movie this month has this reputation. The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh shit! Dick Punch. Wow.
First Kid.
Yeah.
This is all August. This is not like 1996. That's all the really bad ones. Crow City of Angels.
Not good.
But on the flip side, Sling Blade.
Okay. Speaking of John Ritter.
Yes. Waiting. I reckon I like them French fried potatoes. Waiting for Guffman.
There's two.
I don't like Shine, but a lot of people like Shine.
Okay.
Don't like that movie at all, but it's got a good reputation.
Sure. It's a great performance.
Yeah, Matilda. Emma.
Right. Okay.
Basqua.
Right.
With Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey. No. What's the other Jeffrey? Jeffrey. What's his name? Felix Leiter.
For fuck's sake. I'm not going to pull it out of my memory.
No, me neither. And The Fan, which I think is somewhere in the middle.
No, it's just terrible.
You think it's terrible?
Oh,
I bet that movie looks better now than it did.
Oh, I disagree.
I think De Niro, post Dirty Grandpa, that's a good movie. Tin Cup, which I like.
Jeffrey Wright?
Jeffrey Wright, yes.
Thank you.
Tin Cup, which I like quite a bit.
I love Tin Cup.
She's the One, which is fine. Emma, the Gwyneth Paltrow Emma, which is,
Gwyneth Paltrow Emma.
If you've got an afternoon to kill, you could do a lot worse. I think with like the best movies there, Sling Blade and Waiting for Guffman.
So there are some good movies in August.
Yeah, but they're movies that wouldn't have got a hell of a lot of attention, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably at the time would not clock them as upping the average for the month. Because did Waiting for Guffman even get a theatrical release?
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah.
Certainly,
I remember seeing that in the theater.
Certainly, the big Hollywood movies are big stinkers. I don't know what counts as a big Hollywood movie here, but I guess Chain Reaction was supposed to be.
Yeah, because that was Andrew Davis's follow-up, I think,
To The Fugitive?
to The
Or
Fugitive.
Under Siege?
No,
Both?
The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Because
So-
Under Siege is 92. The Fugitive, I think, is
Oh.
93, right?
Yeah, guess it is.
Yeah.
Have you seen a movie called Pusher?
Pusher?
Yes.
Oh, it sounds like chewing my description of Steven Seagal. It's just a pusher.
Push fights.
Just push fights. No, I don't know that. Pusher? Pusher.
The good, the bad, and the unknown.
Yeah.
We
Keep saying
so
it
that,
until I
that says it all
understand.
about August 1996. There's mostly bad movies, some good movies, and movies that you will never remember what they are. I'm interested to know what House Arrest is and how it's different from Home Alone.
Yeah, it was like a kids movie.
It sounds like an unlicensed foreign remake of Home Alone.
Yeah, it is like I'm seeing a poster like Kevin Pollak,
I vaguely remember this.
Jamie Lee Curtis,
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn.
Well, that's is this Pusher or House Arrest?
House Arrest.
Yeah. Okay.
Mom and Dad never thought. I can't read the rest.
What, because your soul gave up, or it's too small?
There's like a box in front of the words.
You're fine. I've got the measure of that movie.
Yeah.
If it begins with Mom and Dad, it's called House Arrest. I know where it's going. So yeah, that's the Bordello of Blood.
It is indeed. I'm fairly surprised.
Yeah.
At this movie. I wanted it to be a bigger piece of shit because that's what I remember. I mean, I remember really not liking this movie.
Were you influenced by what people were saying around you? Or had you read any reviews?
No, I remember I seem to recall seeing like a late showing of it, maybe on a weeknight. When I kept
Were you at the premiere? You were at the premiere of this movie, weren't you?
I remember like I kept thinking, I think I'd rather go to bed and like just go home and go to bed. And then I instead I bought a ticket to Bordello of Blood and just thought, come on. What the fuck? Yeah.
It's interesting.
But I remember having a real bad reaction to Dennis Miller.
Well, that's
like he just the laziest performance ever.
And it's all there on screen, isn't it? It's not the kind of movie where you'd be like, I couldn't tell they were having a bad time at all.
Yeah,
making that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you think you basically on one end you've got Jaws, where everyone fucking hated making it, but it's excellent.
But it's great.
Then you've got those other movies where it's like clearly something's wrong, but you don't quite know what it is. This one you can infer happened behind the scenes from watching the movie.
Yeah.
Right. You'd be like, oh, Dennis Miller's just saying whatever he wants when he's on screen.
And then leaving
he's not there for his coverage.
And then leaving the set. Yeah.
And the From Dusk Till Dawn stuff is shameless.
No, that's it's funny though that like as shameless as that is, as a sequence, it was kind of fun. Like,
yeah,
I
mean, they look like they're having more fun in that scene than in any other scene in the movie.
And I'll say this too.
That's why I thought it was maybe a reshoot.
The consummate professional, Chris fucking Sarandon.
Yeah,
me,
he
because like no matter how shitty the movie is or what's going on in it, when he's on screen, I'm interested.
He puts his head down and
does his
pushes
work
through.
Yeah.
And Aubrey Morris is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have heard more of that monologue, that eulogy he was giving, because it sounded very funny. But I was looking at Dennis Miller
gawking at
a some kind of half vampire.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not without it's again. So I think there's a myriad ways to reframe it that make it better than it was seen to be. Like if it's not you think of it not as a Tales from the Crypt movie, try to think of it as an exploitation movie, take it out of August 1996. I mean, it doesn't, it kind of salvages it, but it doesn't by any means elevate it.
No,
it's still a bad movie, but again, not enough of a fun bad movie,
right?
But at least I would.
You're not gonna like once every 3 months say, "Hey, let's sit down and get Bordello of Blood again." It's just so much fun to watch this bad movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very strange, and like again, I can't imagine what your expectations are going into it.
Right.
Because you've got you're being pulled in so many different directions, none of which are going to satisfy you.
No, yeah.
If you like Dennis Miller, you're probably still not going to like this movie. Because he's having a bad time.
I hope you can be objective enough, even if you love Dennis Miller, to say, okay, not Dennis Miller's greatest moments.
Well, he obviously didn't like his own work in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would portray it that way, or apart from this movie sucks. Yeah. Corey Feldman is Corey Feldman.
As always.
Yeah, it's a diversion, but I think
it's bad.
It's bad. It's
just not as bad as I remembered or thought it was. Yeah.
Which is,
I'm gonna give the movie a little bit of credit.
Bad movies are getting worse. I think that's what we're learning, right?
Yes, right.
It's kind of, there's something quite kind of quaint about a 1996 bad movie. That what year is Batman and Robin? Is it 97?
Yeah.
Because not by no means, I'm not necessarily comparing the two, but I'm thinking like,
Tom, Batman's over. Stop defending Batman.
I know. I wonder if there's something in like, as soon as we get out from, bigger expectations around certain movies, they get a lot better.
Right.
Because that's what still weighs you down for Batman and Robin is the fall off.
You're on an island by yourself on that one, I think.
Here, if you're a Tales of the Crypt person, you're gonna see it as a come down. But if you like your vampire sex comedies, you might get more out of it.
There you go. All right, anything left for you for Bordello of Blood?
2, 4, 6, 8. You can watch me masturbate. Just wanted to leave you with that right.
Hang on, Tom. I don't want to lose any licenses or.
You think there's any left?
I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's it for Bordello of Blood. Sorry.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood. I think I have that right.
Yeah.
If you have any differing opinions, by all means, please reach out to us. Let us know on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and send us an email.
Of Dennis Miller.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Dennis Miller? Let us know. Send us an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. For Tom Steward of Lonesome Whistle Productions, I am Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Say goodbye, Tom.
Why don't you come look at my nuts? They're very nice.
Hard pass.
Yeah, it is. It's a hard pass. Exactly.
All right. Take care, everyone.